Now, what you don't see when we record the Racing Alternative is that we have like a Thunderbirds countdown on screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm guessing that Lord Derbyshire's favourite Thunderbird was Thunderbird 2, the big green thing, because he's Kale of later. Apparently, my favourite was Thunderbird 1, the one that goes up into space. Anyway, apart from that, Racing Alternative, good to have you with us today. First thing we're going to tackle is kind of non-racing, because we've just heard, hot off the press, yes, been confirmed, that Stephen Derbyshire has been fined £40 for recording an episode of the Racing Alternative in Tesco's without going in there to shop. I mean, if you parked out in a car park in Marks and Spencer's, you wouldn't get this, Derbyshire, would you?
No, you wouldn't get it. Tesco's absolutely feral store. I bet their own brand Weetabix just tastes like bloody straw. Well, not going in there again. Well, I never went in the first place.
You never went in, which is why you got fined, because you couldn't basically stamp a ticket, could you, to say that you'd been in there. Racing Alternative this week, you know what? It keeps on coming. Of course, we've got Christmas coming up, and Leopardstown and Kempton will deal with that, of course, next week. This week, 2 really top-class meetings at Ascot and at Haydock Park. Stephen will be at Haydock, no doubt. There's no chance of him going to Ascot and the bowler-hatted people there telling him what to do, because A, he wouldn't do it, and B, he'd probably get thrown out in any case. Best bets of the day, I've got something for you. Guess where? Where is it, Stephen? Where's my best bet going to be, do you think?
Dunstall Park.
It is indeed at Dunstall Park, and Stephen Derbyshire will probably be going all over the place. He'll probably be attending 3 meetings all at once at the weekend. As always, Mr. Derbyshire, we'd like to thank our sponsors, NLG Bet, for supporting this podcast, without whom you wouldn't have been able to afford your doner kebab with everything on it tonight.
Correct. It was a gastronomic orgy.
Did you have to change your shirt? I could just see you dribbling down with a chili sauce. Let's have a look back at last weekend. Of course, the main talking point, outsider of the party, Glengooley wins the December Gold Cup. Really annoyed me. Sean Bowen, brilliant up front, left alone. The other 9-10 jockeys need a kick in the backside, because they basically, though it didn't hand the race to him on a plate, but it gave him a much better chance of winning on a 33-1 shot than he should have had. And that really irks me when that happens, when jockeys sit on horses, they know the makeup of the race, they know what's going to happen, and if you lead a leader alone, doesn't matter what price it is, his percentage winning chance skyrockets.
Well, yes, it does. I mean, in mitigation, and I don't often mitigate against some of these jockeys, but I had Glengooley down as a 2-miler. And I actually backed him the run before, which irked me even more. So yeah. I thought, maybe he's slightly better at 2, than that's why the jockeys are leaving him alone. I mean, to me, the Sam Thomas horse, this Vincenzo, didn't want to go past.
Yeah.
I thought he hung towards the best mate enclosure on the run-in, and I thought Jaguar was given a moderate ride, I have to say.
He didn't jump though, did he? I mean, Jaguar looked very steep. But the whole point is this, right? If you're in the middle of, before a race, trainer says to you, sit here, do this, do that, and then doing this, right? But if you're a jockey with half a brain in your head, and the race changes, the shape of it changes as you're in the race, you're supposed to know, you recalibrate, you think again, and you change your tactics. And the other jockeys in behind just bloody well didn't. And that is really annoying.
Yeah, it was. It was an unsatisfactory affair. I mean, I think in terms of form, it wasn't a great race either, by the way.
No. Well, it never is as good as the Paddy Power in any case. There is one huge subject that we have to broach this week, and I know you've commented on this on X or Twitter to everybody over 50, which means just you between the two of us, about what's happening at Kempton Park, and the chances are that they're going to build a load of houses on the Sunbury-on-Thames track now. And there's been great debate from many people, the good, the bad and the ugly in the world of racing. Is it good? Is it? Paul Keeley put a very interesting article on saying that it's an absolute disgrace. But obviously he's sort of weighted it the fact that, yeah, we can't lose the King George there, but what about the other 340 days of the year when there's Class 5 and Class 6 flat handicaps on the abomination of an all-weather track? Nobody goes there, absolutely nobody goes there, and it's about an exciting ambience as it is at my dead grandmother's funeral. I've never gone to Kempton on an all-weather meeting, especially an evening meeting. I would never go there. So there are pros and cons here. For me, it's not a clean-cut argument.
I think it's clean. I think it's very clean.
Why is it clean?
I'll start off actually. Understandably, the Jockey Club are getting hecklers, but Jim Mullen didn't really have to say what he did. And of course, Jim Mullen had absolutely nothing to do with the Jockey Club when this agreement was signed with Redrow. So the fact that he's got it out in the open, good. But the rest of it, I mean, I've heard some bad arguments. Bloody hell. I heard some Mark Prescott saying it's a hard place to get to. Well, I'm sorry, it's at the end of the M3 and there's a train station next to it. You know, I've heard people say, oh, well, I'm not that bothered if it goes, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I take Nicky Henderson's point here. I wouldn't agree with him on everything. I probably would disagree with him on more things than I'd agree with him on. But the fact of the matter is, it produces a very good racing surface in the depths of winter, which Sandown, for example, gets heavier and is far more testing. And then you hear people, I mean, and this is the catch-22. For obvious reasons, JCR aren't going to put any money into Kempton because Redrow exercise it, the planning gets granted and it gets bulldozed.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, that's why. But then you get people saying, oh, well, I want to save Kempton, blah, blah, blah. Well, the best thing you can do by saving Kempton, I would argue, is go there. Yes, I've done it twice this year.
Make Kempton more welcoming. I'm not saying the staff are unwelcoming, but the buildings, they're horrible. The atmosphere there, it's dead. It's like it's leaking through its pores every time you go there. It's not a place that draws me in. I mean, King George Day apart, and maybe 2 or 3, 4 other National Hunt days of the year where there is some good racing, and Nicky actually sends a lot of his better horses there sometimes. It's, you could name all the race courses in the country, and you know that I'd rather go to a Perth or a Goodwood or a Cartmel than I would to a card of all-weather racing at Kempton Park. It's an absolute no-brainer. Make it more welcoming.
Well, yes, make it more welcoming. They obviously can't spend money on it. I think that's the first point. But yeah, mate, look, I first went there. You might remember this. The Green Horse was transferred from Haydock.
Yeah.
And then Master Oates won it. So I was there in 1994. I'd be 7. And I thought I didn't like it then. But they had people there,
Mm.
And since this advent of all-weather racing, even the jumps fixtures, I was there on the old Charisma Gold Cup day. I mean, what's happened to the Charisma Gold Cup? There's one example. That used to be an early season.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, the Charisma Gold Cup. Do you not remember that?
I'm kidding you.
Jesus.
No, I get it. Yeah,
we've had an able run there. As a race course for trainers love it. Now you've just got to make racegoers love it.
So how do you do that?
Well, how do you do that? There's this awful thing under the stand, and it's literally one. You know what I mean? You've got one big room. It's like being in a bloody dungeon.
Well,
honestly,
yeah.
So. Just spruce it. You don't have to spend loads of money on it. Just make it more welcoming. Maybe drop your prices. Don't get charged. I can't remember. It was like the minimum was about 11, 12 quid for something to eat. You could get a lovely steak sandwich at Hamilton for 6 quid.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, class. And you get onion free as well.
Yes, and cheese if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, make it just make it more welcoming. But I get people are in this paradox of saying, "Oh well, it's a dump. I'm not gonna go." But let me tell you something. you will moan when it's gone. And I don't think there's anywhere else that could run the King George. I mean, you've got it will stay in JCR unless Ascot pays silly money for it, which isn't out of the question. But assuming it stays in JCR, well, where have you got? You can't run it at Sandown.
Well, they will. That's where it's going to go. It's going to go Sandown.
But why do you think, I don't know this for sure, why do you think Huntingdon lost its day to Aintree on Boxing Day?
Pray tell.
Well, that is my best guess, that it would probably go to Aintree.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But Aintree is a stamina test. There's a pretty good piece. I think Keith Melrose wrote it today in the Post. He's infinitely more testing than Kempton on Boxing Day.
And it's the other way around.
It's the other way around. It becomes a different race. I mean, the King George is a great race because they actually go quicker at Kempton. So the accuracy of jumping is more important. The ability to travel is more important.
Yeah.
And you think of all the great King Georges. I mean, bloody hell, Desi would be like a rotisserie chicken in his grave right now.
Yeah. Well, you're right. That image in my mind is hugely worrying, as is some of the stuff I saw on X this week after Jericho de Repenay was beaten in a 2-horse novice chase over 2.5 miles. And everybody's saying, or a large proportion of people are saying, Nico de Boinville wasn't even trying, didn't even push it out, didn't even raise his whip, didn't even move his arms. But here's the double-edged sword, right? For people who don't know about racing and they went to Wincanton and had a bet on the race and don't know about form, they don't know that 2.5 miles is too short for Jericho. And he's probably there. I'm not saying it was a schooling session, but once Regent Stroll went off at a really good rate of knots, he wasn't going to close him down for speed. And in fact, Jericho jumped brilliantly all the way around. He's just not quick enough over a sharp track over 2.5 miles. But for those of us who do know about form and do know how to weigh up and conclude and dissect a race, it was more than obvious that was probably going to happen unless Regent Stroll made a Horlicks or pulled like he did at Newbury. It's so annoying. So annoying they're saying that Nico de Boinville cheated. He didn't.
I actually don't think he did.
No,
but
he didn't.
But there's a wider debate on these races because they're absolute shit, aren't they? I'm not being funny.
Yeah, but the prize money was good. Why did we only get 2? I think third prize money was like...
There's too many of them. I've listened. I'll plug another podcast. I actually just messaged Nick Lightfoot before we went on here. I've listened to the BHA podcast where they try and justify these things. And there's that many of them. You know, you get 2-runner races. There's 3-runner. There was a 3-runner at Lingfield on Saturday. Everything was from the same yard of Gary Moore. Well done to Gary Moore, or we wouldn't have had a race. There's just too many of them. No. And what they do is they turn into schooling sessions. The interesting thing about them, and I didn't know this, is if you finish second or third or wherever in one of them, to a good horse, your mark doesn't go up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which also counters the argument about Nico cheating. I mean, look, that horse is not a good jumper. If you watched him at Kempton the time before, he was distinctly haphazard in the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, that was a confidence booster. No doubt about it. Now,
well, yeah.
Within 5 seconds, and I think you're going to get this within 1 second, name me the most famous flat horse to run on the flat at Aintree.
Red Rum.
Yes. So why shouldn't we have flat racing once again at the Merseyside track?
Well... This is again about the greater debate of racing at the moment. I would never say never at all. But again, the point is JCR have a finite number of fixtures. Now, if Kempton shut, they could move some of those up there, for example. Wednesday evenings in the summer would be lovely on Merseyside, wouldn't it?
They'll have a bundle of them. They'll have so many of them to redistribute.
Well, it's just one idea, but I must say... I don't like the idea of moving them from Haydock, which somebody muted earlier. The horse population will not withstand any more fixtures. That is the first point. So the last thing you need is another tributary to run horses down with more fixtures. They would have to probably go around JCR Group. I don't know if Kempton shut it might be an option, but not at the moment. the horse population's going like that. The last thing you need is 20, well, not 20, maybe 10 or 15 new fixtures at Aintree. I agree it is underused. And the other point, while we're on about Aintree, by the way, and Cheltenham, is they've really developed those so well in the last 15, 20 years. Aintree's absolutely unrecognisable than what it was, when you had Lord Guylean winning the National and all that. But to keep digging into these venues is at the detriment of other venues. I think we'd all agree, for example, Sandown needs a new grandstand.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's where I'd be putting the money. Market Raisin needs tarting up a bit. The stands at Haydock are getting a bit old.
Yep.
I'd rather they distribute the money to a grassroots level. But it's not even grassroots at Sandown. But there just seems to be this thing in racing at the moment of the big getting bigger and the small getting smaller. And we've got to remember that this is, it's a pyramid. And what happens when you start taking things from the bottom of the pyramid? The top collapses. So I do disagree with this distribution of funds. I don't think Aintree needs much more. To be honest with you, I don't think Cheltenham needs that much more.
Cheltenham just needs to be kind of to the race goer. If you're joining us for the first time on the Racing Alternative, he's Lord Derbyshire. I'm just plain Paul Jacobs. I'm just a man of the people. He's bourgeoisie. And do visit the nrg.bet website to find out for yourself about safer gambling, etc. Gambleaware.org as well. And of course, nrg.bet. They do sponsor us. Is it wisdom? Is it foolery? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But they're with us.
Madness. And subscribe to us as well, because your phone gives you notifications and says that SD and Jacobs are talking absolute rubbish again. Have a listen for half an hour while you're stuck in traffic or with your mistress or whatever it is you do when you listen to these things.
Speak for yourself, young man. And talking about mistresses, I'm guessing, let me just hone in on this year. I'm getting the vibes, I'm getting the feeling that Southwell will never be your mistress.
No, Southwell won't be my mistress. I went to Southwell for the first time. I've never really liked Southwell either. I'm being very negative tonight, aren't I? For the first time in a couple of years on Sunday. And, all I wanted a cup of coffee. I don't generally have a pint at the races. And honestly, there was a...
Unless it's for you.
Correct. Yes, well done. But in all seriousness, there was a queue from Southwell practically all the way to Nottingham for the bar. Now, these are basic things, and this is what racecourses and to an extent the regulator needs to understand. While if they're finding trainers, I thought John Berry made a great point on this.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
To put one bar staff on one of your busier Sundays. And having queues like that, and to be quite honest with you, treating racegoers with contempt, I just find absolutely ridiculous. There's cost cutting, and there's penny pinching to the point where people won't come back. And that queue was there most of the day because I did keep checking it. And literally, what I had to do after the third race, because I wanted a cup of coffee, was to run in right after the race and get to the front of the coffee queue. Terrible.
I'd love to see. I'd love to see you doing a Linford Christie. I really.
Yes.
I paid for that massively. Great, and everybody else can imagine that, but don't imagine it too much if you are having your dinner at this time and listening and watching the Racing Alternative. We will talk all about things Christmas. I think we're doing a podcast next Tuesday, so a little bit earlier than normal. Yeah,
they all merge into one.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that.
Yes, I'm at Wolverhampton Monday.
Oh, there's a shock. Yeah, I thought you might. Have you ever? Actually, if they ever opened the racecourse in the Orkney Isles, you'd be there, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes. I've not been to Orkney, actually.
Oh, it's nice.
I've been to Mull and I've been to Skye, but I've never been to Orkney. But there is a place in Orkney, and I can say it, and it's spelled T-W-A-T-T.
Is that correct?
Look it up.
Yeah. Well, don't say it too out loud because we might get censored. Should we look forward to this weekend? And talk about this weekend, there's that imbalance again, isn't there? Saturday, Sunday racing. Two very ordinary meetings on Sunday, and Saturday, a plethora of goodness to soak your punting teeth into, Mr. Derbyshire. Starting with the Grade 1 long walk hurdle at Ascot, and I think we've got a better strength in depth field this year than we had last year.
Yeah, I've got a working hypothesis that the 3 mile hurdlers in this country are shit. That's a very technical way of putting it, but I don't think they're particularly good. And that's sort of, I don't think Strong Leader's great. No, especially in I'm a by imposed toi. I had a bet earlier. I backed Honesty Policy.
The least exposed in the field. The least exposed.
Yeah, least exposed, going to offer something. Probably needs to improve a bit, but I think the conduit is going to be 3 miles once again. Absolutely crying out for a trick. And just going back to last year, I mean, I thought JetBlue did it quite well at Cheltenham, last year. I really did.
He was a novice, wasn't he, as well, in that album?
Yeah.
December, yeah.
Now, in terms of form, again, that's probably something to find. But they are the two I backed earlier. Because strong leader. It's not exactly a high bar to go against. And then I was just looking at the rest. Beauport stays longer than the mother-in-law.
Yeah, he was third last year. I backed him each way last year, and I thought if he sets the pace, there are not many going to get to him. And this year, the going is going to be sticky this year because Friday and Saturday are supposed to be dry on the back of a lot of rain on Thursday. We're talking on Thursday night. And it's going to be a stiffer test of stamina this time around. And you would have thought that if Tom Bellamy gets his fractions right, Sam Twiston-Davies rode him last year, and he begins to up the ante down the far side for the final time, there are question marks about several of the entries getting home in what's going to be gluey, horrible, sticky ground.
Yeah, they've had 24 mil. I checked it up to 6 o'clock today. They've had 24 mil at Ascot, which is as near as damn it an inch. I can see a case for Beauport, but it wouldn't say much about the rest of them if an old boat like Beauport won.
Yeah, well, it's all about fractions in a race like that, and he's going to test their stamina. Big handicap chase of the day at Ascot is the Howden Silver Cup handicap. Again, it's a pretty good field. I was so annoyed. I was so peed off that Garlaw was taken out of the December Gold Cup last week because I had him at 25 and 33. And now they're running him here at 3 miles in gluey ground instead, giving weight away all round. I know Isabel Ryder's on, booked again to ride. I thought this was a more difficult task than last Saturday.
Well, it was, and the cynic amongst people would say, well, kept the weight down for the stablemate. That's what some people might say. I'm sure it wasn't the case, and if that was the case, connections should suffer the consequences.
I love it when you say that. I can just imagine you in a court of law at the end of a case putting the hood on, the black hood on, and then pronouncing what was going to happen to the poor woman or man in the dock.
Yes.
I think you'd be brilliant.
I have to say, by the way, I'm going to call something out here.
Go on.
I hope this doesn't end up on the cutting room floor. Jeff Banks, Jeff Banks, tweeted that terrible incident in Liverpool that he thought this sentence for running 100 people over was harsh. I thought it was unduly lenient. I'd never let him out. So there we are. Speaking of courtroom drama, but that is.
Thank you, Your Honour. Thank you, Your Honour. Let's talk about this handicap chase over 3 miles. Pick Rock, of course, was totally bowled over by the start in the Hennessy at Newbury, but I think his price is about right, 11-2. I know you like the horse. I think you'll probably may well tip him, but there's 2 or 3 in this race at bigger prices that are an each way play, aren't there, Stephen?
Well, I'll tip him. Yeah,
I know.
I thought he was. It was a terrible injustice in the Hennessy. I thought he ran remarkably well, and I think off the same mark, he should be damn near favourite indeed. You're saying some at bigger prices?
Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely.
no.
I think we've yet to see the best of Deep Cave. I don't think it was a particularly good Class 2 he won at Bangor, but he did it very smoothly. And he's got a lovely racing weight, 10.13 off 139. I'm sure he might end up being a late 140s, early 150s horse. And had the ground been better than this, and it's not, I would have had a bet on leave of absence. But I think he wants good ground. He won his novice hurdle here at Ascot on a really sound surface. So I will leave him for another day, and 145 is probably only about right for him. And Victorino's only a few pound higher than for winning last year. But I think he doesn't want it to be sticky at all, does he?
No, just on about Deep Cave. I would have been interested in him, and I do like Christian Williams
Me
quite a
too.
lot.
Me too.
He's a good guy. But I'm afraid that the stable's horses haven't been running well at all. He's one. He was 1 from 23 in October. He was 2 from 28 in November,
Yeah.
and he's 0 from 18 in December. And that is what worries me. It's as if that the yards horses aren't performing well. Now the consequence of that, of course, and Deep Cave was the exception to the rule when he won at Bangor, is that there's going to be a lot of very well handicapped horses. I just thought there might be a clue in Christian's thinking. I had a look, and Christian, believe it or not, he's based in South Wales, loves going to Fakenham. He didn't have one entry there this weekend.
He
So I
does love a
just
bit of
thought,
faking. Yeah, yeah.
I love a bit of Fakenham. Have you ever
It's
been?
down that long
Right.
Roman. See, you go down this long Roman road. It's like a never-ending road, and you come to this lovely little track. They have you'd love it there because they have homemade cake stalls, homemade pie
Yes,
stalls. You would be in your element there, Derbyshire.
I am in my element there. I do like it. I used to take the missus for a dirty weekend in Norwich in this lovely hotel, and we'd go to Fakenham on the way home the Sunday before Christmas. And she
Oh,
absolutely adored it. She
the
really did.
picture in my head. I feel sick already, and I haven't even had dinner. That's terrible.
Dear me. I mean, I'm the best diet for you, Mr. Jacobs. I have back to, they're not very interesting. Well, they're not very original. I think Johnny Who's surely chucked in as well. I mean,
Yeah.
John Joe's come back from that enforced leave of absence. I think if the horse is anywhere near the form of that second in the Kinmure, I think he's got absolutely excellent claims. And I think the other point just worth making on Johnny Who, and maybe connections are realising this, Johnny Who has won 3 races in this country. They've all been right-handed.
Yeah.
Now, hitherto, he's not been tried that much right-handed in this country. He was 5th, of course, in the Irish National, possibly stamina giving way there, but it's certainly a plus point him going right-handed.
Yeah, I backed him last week at a double figure price. I thought he was way too big. I think he's the right price now. And I think you and him and the pick horse were the two you're going to obviously tip up here. They both got a great chance as well. You're going to your beloved Haydock, aren't you?
I am. What a place. What a place.
And your favourite horse is running in the Tommy Whittle handicap chase.
I know, and I am not backing him. I'm
Famous
not.
bridge. Yeah.
I I hope he's not gone. There's just something in the back of my mind saying he might have done. I thought Jack, I mean, he's not very original. I did back him at a much bigger price earlier in the week, but Jack's Parrot's got a really good chance. But one at Haydock, who I think's a great price at 13 to 2 now, apparently.
Hello.
At the time of recording, is Sunny Villa. Sunny Villa won this, it's in a 130 at Haydock.
The
in
two
a,
mile. Yeah.
yeah, he won this really well last year. Just seemed to need. He wasn't quite on his A game on Betfair Day in a pretty hot race. Now been dropped £2 by the handicapper. I think this is his Gold Cup. I think he'll win this. I really do.
And he won't mind.
Nicky's in
will
full.
he?
Won't mind. He's not that bad. They'd only had 3 millimeters up to 6 o'clock. So it's gonna. I think it's gonna be soft rather than heavy, and it certainly will be Haydock heavy.
Right. And Famous Bridge, ideally wants them to go slower so he can get his jumping back in order. He'll probably wait for the 3.5 mile Grand National Trial, won't he? There.
That's what I've got my eyes on as well.
Me too. But don't tell anybody, all right? Shh.
No.
You and me. You and me.
Yes, yes. We'll sort of we'll exchange text messages on who can get on at the best possible price when the prices come out, when the weights come out, probably sometime in early February.
Absolutely. Do you want to know my tip for Wolverhampton? Are you intrigued?
I am very intrigued.
It runs in a nursery handicap, which at 5:15, nursery handicap over 9.5 furlongs. So just before the tipping of the year and the 2-year-olds become a 3-year-old. You might have seen this horse run. It's number 5 Tinsel, who ran 6 at Kempton last time out in a 1-mile nursery, in which he was really slowly away. He's 4 or 5 lengths off a field of 12 or 13. They went hammer and tongs through the first couple of furlongs. They did like a 10.65 second furlong there, and he was 4 lengths off the pace. And then they concertinaed up between the 5 and the 3 furlong pole. So he once again then became at a disadvantage because it became a sprint over 2.5 furlongs. And he came home in his own time, but his own time was bloody quick down the home stretch. He was an eye catcher. He was so much an eye catcher that I had to wear a patch over my left eye for the next 2 weeks thereafter. He gets in off a mark of 60 here. He's going up an extra furlong and a half. And I think if Hector Crouch gets it right, and Hector doesn't always get it right, but I think he rides Wolverhampton really well, Hector. I think Tinsel could A, be a mover in the market, and B, could make his handicap mark of 60 be an absolute laughing stock.
There we are. There we are. How could I disagree with any of that most cogent of rationales there?
That's the first time in a racing podcast the word cogent has ever been used. Most people would associate it with a 3-mile handicap chaser of the past, wouldn't they, Stephen?
Yes. What year did he win the Hennessy?
I don't know.
93. Move on. Okay. Yes. Danny Fort was on it.
Oh my God, you're like a bloody encyclopedia, aren't you? What else have you got for us up and down the country, Saturday or Sunday? Have you got something lurking in your back pocket, which I wouldn't want to be this evening, you having had a doner kebab?
Not in my not in my back pocket per se, but I did have a look at the Ladbroke, and you can't call it the Ladbroke anymore, can you?
No.
Well, we can.
Shame on you.
Sod it. We'll call it the Ladbroke. I was interested in this O'Neill horse. Is it Willful? I was very interested in that.
Willful, yeah. He's much better off the weights with Alexa, isn't he?
It's not just much better off. I think for a length and a quarter.
At Chepstow, that's Foslash, yeah. Oh, it's Chepstow. It's now Chepstow.
It was Chepstow, not Foslash. Chepstow.
It's not champion of handicap, yeah.
I think in terms, if handicap it means anything to you, and this is of course a handicap. I think this horse is absolutely chucked in. It's not gone unnoticed, but this Alexa would have to be improving. I suppose it's possible at a unbelievable rate of knots. Alexa actually reminds me a little bit of Rigmarole, probably 20 years ago. You'll remember that basically won all the handicap hurdles.
Is he a Rooster Booster Mark too?
Yes, or Rooster. Rooster was a lot more likeable than Alexei. Oh, Rooster.
That's really nasty thing to say.
Had balls of steel, that horse. Absolute balls of steel. Love that horse.
Stephen, we've had so much to talk about this week. I mean, loads to talk about, both about directly at racing, what's happened, what we think is going to happen, about different race courses, about the state of the industry. And we'll talk about it maybe in the New Year's edition. But as we come out of 2025, how are you feeling about the sport? Are you optimistic? Or are you negative? Are you somewhere in between? How do you feel? Because you are there in the middle of everything, literally every other day.
I'll say this. There's a lot of people, me included, who taught the sport down a lot. But let's just end on this thought. We're still the best. We're still the best sport in the world, right? We're still the best sport in the world. Now, for all that things are very often a complete and utter cock-up, you still can't beat going racing and just standing there and enjoying yourself. So Look, there's clearly headwinds, but as long as I've been following the sport, people have said they're headwinds. They might be gathering up, but you know what? Let's just keep bloody going, yeah.
Okay. And tell us very quickly this weekend what you're doing.
Oh, I've got to. Do you want to know my entire schedule? I'll do it quick.
No.
Haydock, Saturday. Lingfield Sunday, Wolverhampton Monday, Sedgefield Boxing Day, Catterick the 28th, Haydock the 30th, Windsor the 1st, Ayr the 2nd, Newcastle the 3rd, Plumpton the 4th, and finish at Musselburgh on the 6th.
That means during that time, I reckon our producer Adam, because he does like to go abroad, he'll probably be in some sunnier climes knowing him, because he does like to become Alan Wicker Mark II. Don't forget to have a look at the Racing Post on Saturday. I shall be on the jury there, spouting my normal nonsense, which you've probably heard first of all.
Makes a change from being in the dock.
Listen, everybody, have a great weekend. We will be back earlier next week. I think we're either a Tuesday or a Wednesday recording, taking in all the Boxing Day meetings, Leopardstown, etc. Favourite time of the year for all of us. Stephen, whatever you're doing, just take care of your Audi diesel, because we know he's been under pressure in the past few months. And here's hoping that your poor wife doesn't have to kick you out of bed tonight after that doner kebab.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back next week on The Racing Alternative.
Bye-bye.